Monica, the uptight sister of the devil. And boy, was she ever. Now, Monica was about a year or so ago, so she was pretty recent, so I remember it like it was yesterday. So basically what happened is the owner of our company was pretty involved in day-to-day operations, which he shouldn't have been. But anyway, so he tells me that I'm going to be doing a job for one of his close friends, okay? It's the owner of our company. Now, I had to do a lot of the jobs for his friends because he wanted the job to go well. He wanted it to be a good job. He wanted them to be happy. He wanted it to make him look good. So he always chose me a lot of the times to do jobs for people that he was friends with. I hated this because all of his friends were uptight, arrogant, just people who think they're better than you. It's snobby, uptight people, every single one of them. I never had one good experience with any of his friends that I ever did a job for. Ever. Ever. So when he tells me that I'm going to be doing a job for his friend, I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So basically what happens is it's probably, I would say 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and he sends me a text message, the owner. He's like, hey, you're going to be doing a job for Monica, who's a very good friend of mine. I've known her for a long time. She's your next job on your route. And I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I get no notice of this. You're just now telling me this. I know how this job's going to go. Sure enough, exactly like I thought it would. So I'm like, all right, no problem. So I get Monica's information, drive to her house. I pull up. She's got a long driveway, really long driveway, and it kind of veers off into like an L shape. She's got a basketball goal set up on the left side where the L shape is. And there's like 3 or 4 cars parked along by the basketball goal. And in the long part of her driveway, there's probably 3 to 5 cars in my way. So I'm parked at the very end of the driveway. Now, mind you, to do the job, I've got to bring in hoses that run from the truck all the way into where I'm cleaning for. So I knew first, right off the bat, my hoses weren't going to reach all the way in her house where I'm parked because it's a long driveway and I parked all the way at the end. So I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So I walk up to the door and I meet Monica. I meet the devil's sister. So I knock on the door and she answers, and I can't really tell what the issue is at first. If she's just like very like an odd person, or if because she didn't answer when I initially called her to the house. Normally, like I said before, you can get a sense of how the person's going to be or act towards you, but she didn't answer, so I left a voicemail. So this is my first interaction with her, actually. So there was just something very off about her. I couldn't tell if she was just having a bad day or if this was just her normal personality, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit. So and at this point, I had already worked like 60 hours this week. It was the end of the week. I don't want to deal with this lady. I know how she's going to be because it's the owner's friend. And I know how this has gone before. But I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt and stay positive. So I opened the door and I'm like, hey, how are you? I'm Eric. She shakes my hand and, it's just utter chaos in her house. Now, mind you, all of these cars are in the driveway. So obviously, there's got to be a bunch of people in the house. Oh, there is. Think about Home Alone, the first Home Alone, when Kevin's family is all in the house and they're getting ready to leave. That's how it was in this house. Just utter chaos. I mean, just cousins and siblings just running up and down the stairs, running past me. Just dogs and cats killing each other everywhere. Maybe not that extensive, but you know what I'm saying. So she's like, all right, well, we don't need too much done today, so it should go pretty quick for you, is what she tells me. And I'm like, huh, okay, all right, Monica, we'll see how that goes. She's like, all right, the first thing is this furniture, and the furniture is now it's like cold outside right now, okay? So she shows me this furniture is out on this like outdoor porch area, which has got like a screen enclosed, but it's not like an indoor porch. It's like an outdoor porch, and the only thing blocking you from outside is just this screen. So it's cold as hell in there. So she tells me the first thing I'm going to be doing is all of this furniture in the screened-in porch area. And it's super cold. And I'm like, what? So she shows me the furniture, but she's not really like showing me what she wants done because she's interacting with her family and yelling at her kids at the same time. So I'm just kind of like walking by myself. She's just kind of pointing what she wants done, and I'm just kind of looking by myself, and she's just walking back and forth to the kitchen and the living room and interacting with all these people in her house. And I'm just kind of like, all right, well, this would be nice if you could actually show me what I'm doing versus me just guessing. But, I'm a guest in your house, no big deal. So she comes back in and she's like, yeah, it's going to be that couch, and everything that I'm doing is cushions. It's like outdoor cushions on this furniture that I'm cleaning. So I start to look at it, and she walks away again, and I start to look at it, and I notice that it's all dry clean only upholstery. So what that means is that with our cleaning method, we can't clean it. We don't dry clean. We use water to clean it. So I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the tag, and it tells me that it's dry clean only. So she comes back finally, and I'm telling her, I'm like, so it looks like, this upholstery is dry clean only. Unfortunately, there won't be anything I'd be able to do, for you. She's like, oh, no, it's fine. So-and-so has cleaned it plenty of times before, these other companies. And I'm like, I understand, but this tag right here tells me that it's dry clean only. She's like, no. It's been cleaned many times before. And I'm like, okay, no, I get it. But what this tag tells me is that it's dry clean only. So I don't know what the other companies did, if they didn't look at the tag, or, what happened there. But this tag specifically tells me not to use water on this. And she's like, oh no, it'll be fine. Just go ahead and clean it. Lady, I can't clean this because of what this tag says. I'm not going to ruin your upholstery. So I start telling her, I'm like, so I understand that you've had it cleaned in the past and maybe nothing bad has happened to it, but this tag specifically tells me how I should go about cleaning it. If you lift up the couch cushions on your sofa or your love seat or whatever, there should be a tag underneath, like on the decking or underneath one of your cushions, and it'll have a cleaning code on it. That cleaning code tells professional cleaners how they can go about cleaning it, if there's any precautions they need to take or whatnot. That specifically tells the cleaning person how they need to go about cleaning it. So it's kind of important. So don't rip that tag off, FYI. So, I'm telling her this, and she's like, oh no, just go ahead and clean it. I'm like, ma'am, I can't. If I clean this, I could potentially damage it. I don't have the money to, buy you all new furniture out here. So she's definitely irritated at this point. So she's like, oh, all right, let me just show you this over here. So she takes me over there to, she's got these almost like runners on her stairs. It's a really nice home. It's an old style, kind of Victorian looking home. So she's got like older stuff. She's got all hardwood, like old hardwood in there. She's got runners that go on the hardwood up her stairs, and they're like these windy stairs. So it's all white wool carpet. Okay. So with wool, it stains very easily, especially the older that it gets. It's very durable, but it also stains very easily. So something that I think is very important is setting your expectations with your customer, no matter who you are. So I don't want there to be any surprises at the end of the job. And, you say that I didn't tell you anything. So I'm trying to tell her that, with wool, it'll clean very well, but it does stain very easily. So, these traffic damaged areas right here, you're probably still going to notice a little bit of that, just because of it, how it's worn down over the years, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh, well, it comes out every time. It'll be fine. And I'm like, lady, you're setting me up for failure here. Like, I understand you might think it comes out every time, but I'm telling you, after 9 years of cleaning and seeing this exact carpet, I can tell you almost exactly how it's going to clean up. So I'm trying to explain that to her. She's just kind of brushing it off because she's talking to family members in the background and dogs, and, all these animals are going crazy in her house. And it's hard to hear. I have to like yell just to get her attention because it's hard to talk over all these people in her house. So the last thing she shows me was a doozy. Okay, so she shows me this big, like 10 by 12 area rug. And we can clean some area rugs in your house, but there's certain area rugs, just depending on what they are and where they're from, we can't clean in your house. So she shows me this area rug, and This was like a really thin Turkish area rug. It had a tag on one of the corners, and it was a Turkish area rug, and I think it was like cotton and some other material, I forget, but it was something that we can't clean in your house. There's certain materials that have to be taken off site to be able to, just take proper precautions and take better care of them. Certain things that we can't do in your home. We take them to our facility and clean them there with certain things. So she's like, yeah, I just have this big spot that my dog had an accident on this rug, and it was almost like a perfect circle. And I can tell that she scrubbed it with something because it was like almost a yellowish white tint to the spot. And so I'm telling her, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just telling her all this bad news at this point, because everything she has is like things that either we can't clean or doesn't typically clean up well. But at the same time, I don't want to, clean all this stuff in her house. And then at the very end, she's like, oh, well, I'm disappointed with everything. And then she wastes her money. So I'd rather be straight up, forward with you up front. That way, you know how everything's going to go before I even get started. And I'm like, so this is actually something that we can't clean in-house. I'm sorry to keep giving you bad news and being the bearer of bad news, but certain area rugs like this, and I'm trying to tell her it's because her area rug is, special. I'm trying to play it up to where it's because her area rug is too nice that we don't want to damage it. We don't want to be responsible for, something this valuable in her house. So I'm trying to play it up to where I'm being nice and at the same time telling her that we can't do this, hoping that would, filter her ego and kind of build it up in her head. Because I could tell she's just so egotistical by the way that she's talking to me. Like I said, she thinks that she's better than everybody. And I can tell that's how she's talking to all of her family members, and she's kind of talking to me. So I'm trying to play that up a little bit. And again, she's like, oh, well, so-and-so has cleaned this in the past. And I'm like, man, I don't care about so-and-so. I don't work for them. I'm not so-and-so. I'm telling you what our policy is. I'm not going to ruin your rug. This rug probably cost 10 grand. I don't have 10 grand to pay for a new rug for you, nor do I want to. So, I'm telling her all this stuff, and she's like, oh, it'll be fine. And I'm like, it's not going to be fine, Monica. So, another thing that we like to do is do a test clean before any of the work gets started. That way the customer has an exact understanding of how something is going to clean up before they pay for it. So if you're having furniture or carpet done, wherever your worst area is on that carpet or furniture, I'm going to do a test clean on that spot. After I do that test clean, I'm going to bring you over. I'm going to show you what I just test cleaned on. I'm going to ask you what you think of it, if it's up to your standards, ma'am or sir, and basically get your approval before cleaning the whole piece. That's not, you don't charge for that. It's just something that you want to do before the cleaning starts. And you want to do that because, again, you don't want to get all the way finished and then the customer's not happy with the work. So I'd rather do a little test spot to show them, hey, this was your worst spot. I did a test clean on here. Is this something that's up to your standards? Let them make the decision. If they say no, then, okay, well, this is what you had us out here for. If this isn't up to your standards, we'll go ahead and pack up and leave. If they say yes, which happens a lot of the times, then just go ahead and proceed with it and clean. But that way they can't say that they didn't know how it was going to look afterwards. Okay, makes sense? So I do the test clean on the stairs first, which was the only thing that I could clean in the house. So after I do that, I try to find this lady. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. And I'm asking all the relatives. I'm like, oh, do you know where Monica went? No, I haven't seen her. Perfect. Hey, little kid, do you know where Monica is? What? Perfect. Dog, do you know where Monica is? Roof. Nobody knows where Monica is. So I'm looking all over this big-ass house for fucking Monica, and she's nowhere to be found. So finally, she comes up from the basement after 10 minutes of trying to find her. I'm like, oh, ma'am, while you're up here, can I grab you for a second? So I'm like, oh, I just did a test clean on these stairs. I wanted to make sure this looked all right to you first before I finished everything. She's like, and you could clearly see where the test spot was because I did it on, I think either the second or third to bottom stair, and it was clear as day where I did it. She's like, okay, what am I looking at? And I'm like, well, I did a test clean here just to make sure this was going to look all right to you before I, did all of the stairs, and, you paid for it and didn't like it. She's like, okay, well, it doesn't really look much different. And I'm like, well, as you can see, this step here looks a lot different than this other step that I haven't done. You can see that the dirt has definitely came out. But remember, like I said before, and I also do this because I don't want them to be like, oh, well, you never told me this. Like I said, Monica, in the beginning, in our walkthrough, when I was setting my expectation with you, with wool, they stain very easily, especially the older that they get. So this is kind of the consequence of why that happens. This is why it happens. Here's what's happened to yours. This is basically how everything is going to look right here after the cleaning. Is this something that you still want me to do? Because I don't want there to be any issues afterwards. And she was like, oh, well, that just doesn't look very good at all. And I'm like, okay, so is it, you don't want me to do the stairs then? She's like, no, forget the stairs. Let's just go ahead and do the furniture and the rug. And I'm like, okay, well, remember before that, I can't do the furniture because it's dry clean only. And she's like, oh, I told you the other company has already done it plenty of times, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, clearly she's not understanding me. So the only thing I can do on this furniture is vacuum it. I can't get it wet because it's dry clean only. I can only vacuum it. So I go out there with the vacuum. I vacuum over a couple of cushions. Okay, that's all I do. So none of the stains are going to come off when you vacuum it. I only vacuum it just to prove my point and show her that this is all I can do. Look, all your stains are still here because I can't clean it. So I show her this. I show her that none of the stains came out because I can't get it wet. She was like, oh, well, what if I used my own cleaner and, you used the clean. I put the cleaner on there and then you used it and cleaned it off. I'm like, that's the same thing. You can't get it wet is what I'm telling you, Monica. And she's just not comprehending what I'm saying. She just keeps saying, oh, well, I have this cleaner I can use, or I have this cleaner I can use. And I said, if you want to use your own cleaner and clean it yourself, that's fine. But I can't clean it for you. If you put your own stuff on there, I'm not going to come back and clean it afterwards. That's not how this works, Monica. So she just keeps going with, she has different cleaners and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, this is what really killed me. She's like, oh, well, I already put some cleaner on that spot on the rug. And I'm like, yeah, I noticed a little bit of whiteness, when I first got here, so I figured you'd probably use something. She's like, no. I just used it a couple minutes ago. And I'm like, what? Because this rug, it's cotton and it has something else in it to where different chemicals are going to either ruin, deteriorate, or kind of dye the fabric that white color. Because a lot of cleaning products have bleaching agents in them. So if you put it on the wrong type of fabric or carpet or whatever, it's just going to bleach out that spot. And once you bleach something out, you can't get that color back. It's not like that color is going to come back. It's bleached for good. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go look at it. Oh, I go over there to this rug and it's just bleached as hell. It's just a pure white spot. There's no yellow in it anymore. It's just white as hell. Apparently, she had put some sort of bleaching agent on it, scrubbed the hell out of it to where it's like bubbling up now. She put so much on it. Just a pure white bleach spot. And she's like, oh yeah, I figured this would help before you cleaned it. And I'm like, well, first thing, remember I told you I couldn't clean it. You would have to be taken to our facility in order to do that for you. She's like, yeah, but I just needed this one spot here done. Yep, I remember you saying that. I sure do. But remember, like I told you, we can't do that unless we take it to our facility. And she's like, well, I have this product just sitting here and dwelling at it. What am I supposed to do? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't tell you to put the damn product in there. You went and did that on your own. Nobody came in your house and said, hey, put this product on there before we clean, because that's what you're supposed to do. You took it upon yourself to go put some product in here and leave it sitting after I told you specifically multiple times that we can't clean it. So now she's pissed because this rug, like I said, it has to be $8,000 to $10,000 Turkish rug, super nice, really thin rug. And she's super pissed because now the stuff is dwelling in it and I won't clean it. That's the main reason why she's pissed. She's not pissed because she put stuff in it. She's pissed because I won't clean it after she put stuff in it. Even after I've explained all this time that we can't do that. So she's like, oh, well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. She's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just call so-and-so, the owner of our company, right? Remember, this is his friend. This is his friend, the owner of our company. and this job's going terribly wrong at this point, like all the other friends of his have. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I have no problem with you calling him, but I'm not sure what else you want me to do. I mean, I've tried to explain to you, many times that we can't do this. You put this on there knowing that we couldn't do this. She's like, oh, I don't think it'll be a big deal. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to call him. I'm not going to say his name. She's like, I'm just going to call him. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I hear her in the background. She's like in the kitchen or somewhere off to the side calling him. And at this point, I don't have anything to do in the house. She tells me not to do the stairs. You can't do the furniture. The only other thing in the house that she wanted done was this rug. So at this point, I'm thinking we're not doing anything. So I'm literally just kneeling down with my equipment in my hand, and I hear her off in the distance in like the kitchen area talking on the phone. She's like, hi, it's Monica. Oh, I'm good. How are you? She's like, hey, I have your employee here. Apparently I didn't have a name at this point. I'm just an employee. She's like, I have your employee here, and he's just refusing to clean my rug. And I'm listening to this. I can hear everything she's saying. She's like, he's just refusing to clean my rug, and I just don't get it. She's like, he told me we can't clean my furniture. The stairs don't look good. And she's just saying all this stuff, but she's not saying that, this is what he told me, and this is why it's happening. So she's not saying any of this. So she starts walking further. I don't hear the end of the conversation. And all of a sudden, I get a call from the owner. Oh, go figure. So I'm not going to answer it in her house. So I go outside. I step on the front porch. And he's like, hey, what's going on? This doesn't sound good. She's telling me that you're refusing to clean stuff. The job's not going well. She's going all in. He's the type of person that there's no excuses for anything. He's not going to listen to what you have to say. It's just, the customer's always right. She's saying this stuff, so that's how it has to go. I don't care what you're going to say. Whatever you're going to say is just an excuse. The customer's always right. Monica's right. So he's just going in on the phone at me, just telling me that, this is his close personal friend, and this job has to go well, blah, 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 blah. And before I finish that, I don't care if it's the president. I don't care if it's somebody's family member. You telling me that I need to treat somebody better than somebody else, it doesn't work. I'm going to treat every single person the same. So every time he had somebody, one of his friends that he would want a job done for, he would tell you. He'd be like, hey, I have this friend that you're going to be cleaning for. Make sure the job goes great. Make sure it goes perfect. He's like, treat him really well. I'm not going to treat them any differently than I'm going to treat somebody else. I don't care if you're in a $10 million mansion or if you're in a little $300 a month trailer. I'm going to treat you both the same. So him always saying that you need to treat his friends with certain respect and make sure it goes perfect just irked the hell out of me. It really did, because I'm not going to put any more special attention into them than I am for this other customer that I just cleaned for. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So everybody's going to get treated the same. So I'm on the front porch listening to him just cussing and ranting and, saying he doesn't really get it. And he just can't understand why the job's not going well. So I'm trying to explain to him, and he just keeps cutting me off. I'm like, well, I told her that we can't clean. He's like, oh, that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. I'm like, okay, do you want me to clean it? Because it's going to cost about this amount of money to replace it if I clean it and ruin it. And I'm not paying for that. He's like, oh, well, I'm sure it won't be that bad, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, she has this rug in here. It's got to be a $10,000 rug. I'm not going to go in here and just clean it and ruin it and pay for it, because I'm going to be held responsible for it, not you. And he's like, oh, well, just make sure you do something because this can't happen, blah, blah, blah. So he's just not understanding. He's not understanding, not letting me talk. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, you want it to go well, no problem. So I go in there. I'm like, all right, ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean this spot on your rug, and, we'll go from there. Now, I don't think she knows that I've talked to the owner. I don't think she knows that I know she's called the owner at this point. She's like, okay, well, thank you, because we have a party tomorrow, and I just want to get this spot out. This whole time, I'm like, ma'am, this spot is still going to be here afterwards because you bleached it out. You bleached it. You can't get bleach out. You can't. Go right now, pour bleach on a red shirt of yours, just let it sit there, and see if that red color is going to come back. Oh, wait, it's not. It's bleached. It's completely bleached. Not going to come back. Once you bleach something, it's bleached. There's no getting that color to come back. So this big white spot she wants me to clean over. So I very gently rinse over the spot, knowing that, this rug could be damaged. And sure enough, it's bleached as hell. It's definitely not going to ever fucking come out. So she's sitting here watching me as I'm doing this, and she's like, well, is that as good as it's going to get? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yes, ma'am. Remember, it's bleached because of what you put on it. She's like, well, I just don't understand. Why is that spot going to be, so much whiter than the other spots? I'm like, because it's bleached. It's bleached, Monica. It's bleached. Why don't you understand this? And she's just not comprehending this at all. So I clean over it a few more times just for, perception. I'm trying to put on a dog and pony show to make sure that she knows that I'm doing everything I can to, please her at this point. And it's just not working. There's nothing I can do. I can't set any expectation to make her happy. I can't do any test clean to make her happy that she's going to approve of. So at this point, it's pretty much nothing's going to be done here. Just got chewed out from the owner because he said that I wasn't trying enough, even though he doesn't know the first thing about how our job actually works, which is hilarious. So at this point, she's like, all right, well, if this isn't going to get any better, then I just want to get compensated for this somehow. And I'm like, what? I'm like, well, ma'am, you're not paying for any of this because we're not doing a service for you. She's like, well, yeah, but I want to get compensated for this rug because of this spot here. I said, ma'am, you took the cleaner and you put it on the rug yourself. It would be different if I took the cleaner, put it on the rug, and now it's damaged. I didn't do that, Monica. I did not do that. You put it on there yourself. So she's like, what, blah, 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 just going off. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Like, am I in a Twilight Zone? This lady's completely delusional. So she's like, well, I'll just have to have a conversation with so-and-so about it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really sure what else you want me to do. So at this point, I'm just getting my equipment. I'm bringing it outside because we're not going to be doing a job for her. So I took some pictures of the rug just to try to save my own butt because I don't want to get blamed or in trouble for this. I put it in the notes on what she did to this rug herself. And I put all my equipment outside, and I never heard from her again. Never heard about it again. Never heard about Monica from my owner ever again. So I don't know what happened with that. But yeah, that just goes to show you that people are insane. You can do everything you can in your power to try to explain to them up front what's going to happen, how something is going to turn out, and they still are going to be psychopaths. So people, just take your psychopath medicine before you have an interaction with people, or else you're going to, turn into Monica, the devil's sister. So never heard what happened with Monica or that damn rug that she ruined, but I'm glad I never had to interact with her again. So see you, Monica.